Good morning, friends. Welcome to Rhodes, Michigan. My house, I'm Reed Shore, retired Lutheran pastor. We give a big shout out to the folks at St. John Lutheran Church in Grayling who have invited me, along with Dave Awesome, today. So if you want to check their website, there's a whole worship service around this. But a big thank you to those people. And let's talk about the text for Christ the King Sunday, which is the first Sunday of the church year. And it's interesting, we ended the last year with Apocalypse. And guess what we start the new year with? Apocalypse again. Only this time it comes from Mark, the 13th chapter. And it's part of a whole thing where the destruction of the temple is foretold, when there's a desolating sacrilege on the altar, and it's also a time of false messiahs. Okay? And that's going to keep going forever if you stop and think about history. Okay, so here's the text, and we'll talk about it. The coming of the Son of Man. See what I mean? We're right back in it. But in those days, after that suffering, when all that stuff I just described to you in the first part of Mark 13 is over, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. And the stars will be falling from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Cataclysmic total change. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory, just like last week. Then he will send out his angels, and this time the angels will gather his elect from the four winds, the ones blessed from the foundation of the world that we talked about last week. He will send his angels to gather them from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven. Picture that. Then it switches gears here. It's another fig tree story from Jesus. It's not the only one. Fig trees are all about things changing. From the fig tree learn its lesson. As soon as its branches become tender and put forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also, when you see all these things taking place, you know that he is near at the very gates. Here comes an important part. Truly, I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have happened. This generation. We automatically think of this generation as the people alive at that time. But we can also think of it as this generation, this entire cosmos that God has created for us, with us in the picture from the foundation. That will keep going. It will not pass away until everything has taken place. Heaven and earth, he says, will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Watchfulness, that's a big part of Advent. I want you to think as we do this about the difference between being awake and being rescued. Because Jesus does not say his people will be rescued. He says, be awake. So you can walk out of it. You can be unconscious and be rescued. Any firefighter knows that. It's called the firefighter drag. But it's something else to walk through our suffering. He says this, but about that day or hour no one knows, neither the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. Be aware. Keep alert. For you do not know when the time will come. Somewhere in that ... that goes after us and before us, the hour will come. It's like a man going on a journey when he leaves home and puts his slaves in charge, each with his work. Each with his work. And he commands the doorkeeper to be on the watch. The people are supposed to be going apart about their business. Therefore, he says, keep awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will come. In the evening, or at midnight, or at cockcrow, or at dawn, or else he might find you asleep when he comes suddenly. And what I say to you, I say to all. Keep awake. This is our gospel for this, the first Sunday in Advent. We're grateful for the word because it comes to us and it's always a blessing. So think about it. We come into Advent. We're in the middle of the COVID epidemic. Politically, the place is just a mess. And it's really easy to think God is going to deliver us from that we're going to be rescued. Apparently, he does not rescue his people. What he does is admonish them to keep awake, to not lose focus. We've got all this time, which is different than our normal time. Usually we're out there, as the scriptures say, eating and drinking, giving in marriage, finding a spouse. We're doing this whole thing that's, the vista, or the aperture is huge. These days, the world has focused us here. These are the moments where God touches his people. People got all kinds of things to worry about. First sermon about this, I just totally missed the fact that we are beginning to grieve people we know, even as the country grieves its dead, even as the world grieves its dead. There's a lament coming up from the earth. That, for some people, is the business of this moment, is what we should be paying attention to. Christ says, pay attention to that. In that time, I will be with you. Other people like me, I'm retired, my money comes in a check. I live in the middle of the woods. I don't go anywhere. I got things I can do. The proclamation of the gospel might be different for me. For me, it might be to get ready, to prepare myself spiritually, to put my house in order during this time, so that as this situation resolves, I can be there for the people around me. I can be there for the circumstances I find myself in. I can be the manifestation of Jesus Christ in this world, which is, according to kindly old Pastor Reed, exactly what our job is as Christians. So think about this for a minute. Jesus says, be awake, be aware. Don't let things surprise you. What a time to prepare. What a time to put our houses in order. What a time to accept the things we have to accept. Change the things we can't, accept the things we can't change. Do the things we can, and how does it go? Have the wisdom to know the difference. Oh, folks, that's what we've got today. I'm having some production problems, so I hope this comes through.